Um, Seahawks are the defending champs. Let's put the Seahawks schedule up. It didn't jump out to me and there was nothing about the Seahawks schedule that I thought was overbearing. I looked at it and I thought, first of all, you're going to be favored. You get New England at home, then a couple of games you'll be favored in. I thought this was a pretty soft landing for a Super Bowl champ.
Well, I don't know, Colin. I think look at the end of that schedule. You're going to play a
Rams twice.
Friday Christmas game, the Rams, and then you play them again week 18. Your whole season's coming down to those last 3 weeks, and probably those last 2 games against the Rams right there. And oh, by the way, you get the Eagles right before that. So you go Eagles, short week, Rams. I don't know. I think that's going to be similar to what it was this year. The season was going on. The Niners were decent. The Rams were great. The Seahawks were right in it, and we all knew it was going to come down to that week 18 matchup. I think it was a rematch with the Niners and the Rams before that. So it's I think that's what it's going to be, and everyone knows it. And it almost feels like the NBA. You got to just get through the entire season and just know at the end of the year these are the games that are going to matter. And then what happens also is, and I've had this happen to me when I was playing the quarterback, when I was the quarterback of the Seahawks, we played the Rams 3 times in a row when they were the greatest show on turf. It felt like we played them regular season, end of the season, and then bam, wild card game. And we had won the division and lost to them as a wild card team. I mean, that's how close these two teams are, and they know each other so well.
Yeah. It's an odd situation. I never enjoy it when the schedule ends up structured like the Rams have it, where you face a division opponent twice within a 3-week span or something close to that. Especially because we also know there's genuine potential that those same teams could meet again in the postseason. So it's definitely a stranger scenario, but I'm really eager to break down this schedule. Before I do, Seattle Seahawks fans, please don't forget to subscribe and watch the full video. When you do that, viewership skyrockets, subscriber numbers go through the roof. It's not about chasing views or chasing subscribers, it's about being able to create the best possible Seattle Seahawks content I can. Content that's actually unbiased, grounded, and rooted in reality, so we can have real discussions. When you watch the full video and subscribe at the same time, it creates such an avalanche effect, and it goes such a long way to support the growth of this channel so we can continue to have the best possible discussions. Like I've said before, the conversations happening here, the comments per view percentage, is through the absolute roof compared to other channels out there. It's truly second to none. It's remarkable what we're doing here, and it's 100% because of you guys. So I'm just trying my best to make sure that continues to improve and becomes an even better experience for everyone involved. So please consider doing that. But yeah, I mean, aren't you pretty much going to be favored in almost every single one of these games? You're going to be favored against the Patriots, the Cardinals, the Commanders. No matter how good the Chargers are, and I think the Chargers can be awesome, I still imagine the Seahawks will be favored. You're going to be favored against the 49ers. Now, at Denver, it's like, okay, depending on where the Broncos are by week 6, I could see it being on the road, maybe one of those pick-em type situations. And when I talk about being favored, I'm not getting too lost in the spread or who's the underdog or overdog. I mean it more in terms of general perception. If you lost this game, how would you feel about it? If you won, how would you feel? The Kansas City Chiefs at home. At home against Chicago. Obviously at home against the Cardinals. At Las Vegas, that's a great road matchup for you. I agree with what Matt is saying about the tail end of the season. It'll be interesting to see, 1, how great the Eagles can be. They're installing a new offense, and they had some issues last year. We'll see if those are resolved, if they're back to who they were, back to form. If so, then that's a tough stretch you're talking about, the Eagles and the Rams. And again, I actually think there's a lot of momentum building with the Panthers. We'll see, but if the Panthers are genuinely at least competitive, that's a 4-game stretch where you're thinking, okay. And there are real repercussions because it's against the Rams as well. You could lose to the Eagles, I'm not saying you will, but you could. The Rams? Not so much. And this is what I've talked about before with other teams and schedules, it's a really tough situation, especially when you're playing 2 games like this combined together. Because if you have a sense that you're going to face them in the playoffs, you're going to approach that game very differently. Especially if you might face them in the wildcard round. It's hard to know exactly when. Maybe one of these two teams will also have home field advantage and a first-round bye. If that falls out that way, you'd probably find yourself, I'd have to do the math a bit, but you'd probably find yourself in a similar situation where the next time you'd face each other would be in the NFC Championship game. If that's the case, you're looking at playing each other 3 times in about 5 or 6 weeks, whatever the quick math is. That's just a weirder situation. I'd honestly rather have some of that distribution spread out. Especially because the Rams and the Seahawks have such an awesome, exciting matchup. I'd love to see at least one of the games against the Rams right in the middle of the season, Week 8, Week 9. Give me that at Week 9, and then give me the Cardinals game in Week 16. That's where I'm kind of just like, I don't fully understand this. And listen, I don't think travel is the biggest factor, but you're at Philly. So first you're in Seattle, then you go to Philly, then you go back home to Seattle, then you go to Carolina, and then you go to LA. That's a bunch of zigzagging at the end of the season. Ideally, you're competing for the number 1 seed, you get it, and you secure at least home field advantage. But if not? If not, there's a great chance you're going to be the 5 seed. It's hard for me to imagine otherwise, because the Detroit Lions have a great schedule. But I suppose you could find yourself in a situation where you don't have the first round bye but still have a home playoff game as the 2, 3, or 4 seed. That's possible. I obviously look at a team like the Seahawks as such a great team, so it's a bit harder for me to see them dropping. I'd have to really dig through the schedule to see the likelihood that if they are a great team, they're still the 2 seed because the Lions have an easier schedule and take the 1 seed. I did a Lions video discussing that possibility, so I guess that's still kind of possible. But you could find yourself in a situation similar to what happened last season. You win, you're the 1 seed, you lose, you're the 5 seed or maybe even the 6 seed, depending on how everything shakes out. Then you're back on the road, possibly against the Philadelphia Eagles or something. Then you're zigzagging all over the country in a concentrated dose going into the playoffs. That's just not the most ideal situation. Now, to be clear, I'm not saying this is the end-all be-all. Some people are yelling at me because they think I'm downplaying the schedule too much, but I'm just not going to be alarmist about it. I want to be able to talk about all this stuff, but I'm not going to act like this is some catastrophic issue. This is reminiscent of when Colin had a take, and if you remember, I ripped that take loudly. After the Seahawks won, I did a massive victory lap, and people asked, "Why are you celebrating?" It's just the Commanders. And I said it was because people were literally doubting that the Seahawks could travel across the country and beat Washington. It drove me insane. It literally drove me insane. So I don't buy into that narrative. I remember that take vividly. Colin said, the Seahawks have to travel across the country to play the Commanders. I've got the Commanders. And I thought, what? That can't be your logic. That doesn't make sense. But there is going to be some truth to the idea that effect exists. You're doing a lot of traveling, going across the country back and forth going into the playoffs. That's a little bit of extra wear and tear. It's a little extra tiring. But of course, it's impossible to know if they'll be in a position where they win the division and get the 1 seed, or if it's another weirder situation where they drop to the 5 seed or still end up as 2, 3, or 4. Literally every option is on the table because it's only May right now. But yeah, there are definitely a lot of competitive games on the slate. The Chargers, the Broncos. Regardless of who the Chiefs are, that's still going to be a competitive game. The Bears will be competitive. The Eagles will be competitive. And obviously the division games against the 49ers and the Rams. I still have so much belief in this team. This is why I said going into all of this, I made a video a couple days ago talking about how you see the bottom where it says, will Seattle repeat as Super Bowl champs? And I put it squarely on the shoulders of Mike McDonald and that defense. Can he make this defense even better? Even more intimidating? Can it truly become an absolute shutdown defense? And especially with the running back they acquired, can they elevate the run game? Can they continue to not have to rely entirely on the shoulders of Sam Darnold? Obviously still let him cook and work Jackson Smith-Njigba into the mix. But can you take some pressure off, especially with a new offensive coordinator coming in? Can you just play elite defense from the jump and also establish an awesome run game from the start? If you can do that, you're in the absolute driver's seat. Because some of these teams are ready to make their offense pop. The New England Patriots are ready to go, they want to get A.J. Brown, they want to make that offense pop. They want to evolve what they did. The Commanders are trying to get Jaden Daniels back on track and healthy. They want him to pop. The Los Angeles Chargers, Mike McDaniel. Now, new offensive coordinator, healthy offensive line, they're ready to pop. They're ready to be a historically great offense. Shanahan and the 49ers are always looking to do that. The Broncos with Jalen Waddle and others, year 3 now with Bo Nix and a new play caller, they're ready to pop. The Kansas City Chiefs are saying, let's go, we've got the run game going now, we've got Kenneth Walker. These offenses are all saying they're ready to get after it. The Chicago Bears, especially with Ben Johnson. So what does the defense do? What does Mike McDaniel have in store? Can he be an absolute brick wall? That's cute that you think you're ready to pop. Oh, you got A.J. Brown? That's awesome. Doesn't matter. We're still going to rock you. We're still going to make it impossible for you to move the ball. Oh, that's great that you're so fast now and you're such an innovative play caller with Justin Herbert. Doesn't matter. You think you can get all that YAC against us? You can't. One of the most impressive performances of the year was against the 49ers, where they were letting them catch the ball, but they got 0 yards after catch. As soon as they caught it, they were immediately hit with contact. The closeout speed, I still feel it in my bones. I still remember it. It was one of the most impressive displays of, sure, you can catch the ball all you want, but you're not going anywhere the moment you catch it. That's what's going to matter more than anything. It's not Sam Darnold. I love Sam and was praising him the moment he got to Seattle, but to me, I want to look at it 100% through the lens of, what else does Mike McDaniel have in store for this team? I don't even want to look at it through the lens of, can he just maintain this defense, because things always ebb and flow. I look at it through the lens of improvement. Especially against a team like the Rams, I use them as a reference point. We saw the Rams cook. We saw Matthew Stafford cook. Now you're playing them in weeks 16 and 18. I want to have a game where we're like, phew, Matthew Stafford could do nothing against that Seahawks defense. Yeah, he looks like an MVP against every other team, but against the Seahawks? Then what's Matthew Stafford's answer in week 18? Put it more on the Rams. What's Stafford's answer? And if Sean McVay and Stafford have an answer, do they want to reveal it because they might play each other in the playoffs? That's one of those situations. Being able to put that pressure on them. Last season, technically, it was reversed. It was more like, what's Sam's answer? What's Mike McDaniel's answer? No, flip it. Put it on them. What's their answer to you? That, to me, is what will be the defining characteristic of the Seattle Seahawks team. Going through all these schedules right now, man, it is exhausting, but in the best possible way. We're so close, but we're literally months away. We've got 4 months, man. 4 months. So when I talk about these games and these matchups and how I think some of these things could go, it feels like it's next week. It feels like in a couple weeks we're going to be doing this. But no, man, we literally have 4 months. Wow. That's a bummer. That's a bummer. And it's funny because I'm not typically such a defense-driven person, but the Seahawks and the Texans have really re-inspired my love for defense. There are certain offenses I'm really excited to see. What does Mike McDaniel and Justin Herbert look like? I'm fascinated. What can Jalen Hurts look like with Sean Mannion? But right now, it's the Seahawks defense. I believe in Mike McDaniel so much. This is where you really find out. I think Mike McDaniel is an awesome coach, a great coach, a top coach in the NFL. But this is where you find out just how great he is, just how special he is. You just won the Super Bowl. You had to lose a couple of people. You gained some new people. You had to make a couple of changes. So what do you have right now defensively? What do you've got? You had a full season where you won the Super Bowl. You had some great victories, some tough moments as well. How do you improve right here? Who are you as a coach? That's what we saw over the years with Bill Belichick, or even coordinators like Spags. What do you have in store right now? Also, you had to bring in a new offensive coordinator. And you have Sam Darnold, who doesn't have 10 years of established greatness. What are you going to do to Could the pressure off that transition? Because it is a transition. Having a new play caller for a Super Bowl winning team is not an easy thing. It's not just plug and play. It's a lot more complicated than anyone ever wants to pretend it is. So what is Mike McDonald's solution to all of that? I'm just so excited to find out. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Seattle Seahawks and their schedule? How are you feeling about it? Does anything stand out? How do you feel about playing the Rams in Week 16 and then again in Week 18? How does that type of thing happen? It always seems to happen for a handful of teams where it unfolds like that. Last year it was the Eagles and the Commanders. I remember pointing that out and saying, I don't like this at all. It was a similar situation where they faced each other in the NFC Championship game. But then at that point, the games didn't even matter because the Commanders were playing against Marcus Mariota in the other game, and Jalen Hurts wasn't even playing, it was Tanner McKee. So those ended up not being anything anyway. It's hard for me to imagine that'll be the case with the Seahawks and the Rams. So it'll have a weird feel to it. But let me know your thoughts. I read every single comment. Whether you agree with me or disagree, either way, let's get into some discussions. Let's get into some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. NPL. Please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and I'd love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all generally feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. It really does help visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.